Hey, yo, Fro Wrestling Podcast listeners, welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out and click subscribe to show your support. While you're at it, if you're a YouTube user, make sure you enable notifications so they let you know every time a new episode of the Fro Wrestling Podcast goes up. Guys, let's talk. Remember the days when you were always ready to go? Now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed. Listen up, BlueChew.com. That's blue like the color blue. Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work. You can take them anytime, day or night, even on a full stomach, and since they're chewable, they work up to twice as fast as a pill, so you can be ready whenever the opportunity arises. When I try Blue Chew, I really noticed something extra. Now, this isn't just for guys who can't perform, it's for any guy who wants extra function to enhance their performance in the bedroom. Blue Chew is prescribed online and shipped straight to your door. It's in a discreet package, so no in-person doctor visits, no waiting in the pharmacy. The best of all, no more awkwardness. They're made in the United States, and since Blue Chew prepares and ships direct, they're cheaper than a pharmacy. Right now, we've got a special deal for our listeners. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first shipment absolutely free when you use our special promo code FROPODCAST. Just pay the $5 shipping fee. Again, that's Blue, B-L-U-E, Chew.com, promo code FROPODCAST to try it free. Blue Chew is the better, cheaper, faster choice, and we thank them for sponsoring the podcast. If you want to become a member of the Fro Wrestling Podcast family and you want your name in the shoutouts like Mike and Lansdale, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Fro Wrestling Podcast. Sign up today. Don't forget we have loyalty rewards. Any $15 a month contributor gets to co-host an episode of Going Live with me on one of our Saturday night shows, and our $7.50 a month contributors get entered into a drawing for one winner to also co-host of one of our live shows. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Fro Wrestling Podcast. We got an opportunity for you to send in questions, comments, anything you want us to touch on throughout our episodes, especially if you want to send something for Saturday night's Going Live episode. Send those to the Fro Wrestling Sound Off line at 267-642-1160. It's a great way for you to come up with questions and comments, things you want us to talk about, and make sure you give us your name so we can give you credit for your questions and get you to be a part of the show as well. Don't forget, head over to the homepage of the Fro Wrestling Podcast by going to Fro Wrestling, that's F-R-O Wrestling.com, and preview all the topics coming to future episodes of the show. That's a great way to come up with those questions and to figure out what it is you may want to talk about when you tune in. So this week, crazy week, everybody knows by now, and if you don't, you've been hiding under a rock. If you are a diehard wrestling fan, you know CM Punk made a return to the wrestling world this past weekend, an event that was being run by Silas Young of Ring of Honor fame, and he came out, he was wearing the same hoodie he had been at a signing earlier in the day, came out in his hoodie, had a mask on, ran in, hit the GTS to help his old buddy Ace Steel pick up a win in an independent wrestling match. And what I find really cool about this run-in was he actually, it's almost like, it was fate. He predicted this a couple years ago, saying that he would never return to WWE, but that what he wanted to do was maybe return for some small show, unpromoted, unadvertised, come out, make an appearance and disappear. He didn't want some big, flashy thing. And this was very poetic because Ace Steel is somebody who he has a history with, he came into the business with. So very cool that he got the opportunity to come back into the wrestling world and get active. What I find very strange is that immediately following this appearance this weekend, Vince McMahon started following CM Punk and AJ Lee on Twitter again. Now, just so you understand, that may not seem very big to you guys, but Vince McMahon does not follow very many people on Twitter at all. It's not something he does. He's not a social media icon. He doesn't put up a lot of posts, very sporadic. He's old school. So when he follows somebody, it's a big deal. The fact that he followed CM Punk and AJ Lee, very interesting. Now, look, I'm not trying to claim that CM Punk or AJ Lee is heading back to WWE or anything of that nature. I think AJ Lee has addressed many times in the past that her injury history has kind of prevented her from making any kind of effort to return to the ring. And that's really a shame, but that just kind of is what it is. With CM Punk, he's been adamant he does not want to come back to WWE. And to his credit, I know there's a lot of people who are detractors about his mixed martial arts career, and I understand that. He hasn't exactly put on the best showings in the world. But at the same time, he had the guts to go out there and do it. It wasn't for the money, though he did get paid pretty well. But even now, going forward, it's not like he has an incredible career in mixed martial arts coming up. He's going to be commentating for one company. He says and other people have said that he is still training to do mixed martial arts, but I don't see that as a long-term plan for him. At some point, he's not going to stay this age forever. And if he's going to make a return to the ring, this is a good time to do it. Not because any other time wouldn't be a good time, but because, look, Father Time is going to catch up with everybody. And right now in the wrestling world, word got out this week that he was the number one desired talent for Tony Khan when he was setting up All Elite Wrestling. And the fact that he wasn't able to secure CM Punk tells you a lot about Punk's character and his commitment to not coming back to wrestling. Now, would Vince McMahon back up the Brinks truck any more than Tony Khan and somehow coerce him into the field again? I doubt it. I say that because if someone was going to back up the Brinks truck and really get him to come out, it would have been Tony Khan, because let's face it, there's no history there of any kind of friction or frustration. So Tony Khan would have been a clean slate and all the money, whereas Vince McMahon would be a lot of old baggage and all the money. So if he was going to make a move of any kind, I really do believe it would have been All Elite Wrestling. I don't think that's going to happen. It could. Let's be honest. If All Elite Wrestling announces all their special attractions for their first show, Double or Nothing, ahead of time, it really leaves no sizzle and no. I remember Eric Bischoff said a long time ago, you wanted that real feel of live action. And you're going to need some of that at Double or Nothing, because let's face it, the match card is fantastic, but it's not the be-all, end-all of the world match card. Someone like CM Punk showing up would really put the event over. Or a Brock Lesnar coming in, apparently done his contract with WWE. If he shows up at All Elite Wrestling's Double or Nothing, would instantly lend credibility to that brand and to that product. And I think that's something they are lacking. I get the Chris Jericho tie-in, but here's what I want people to understand. And I was having a great conversation with Nate from Sellersville, Pennsylvania earlier today, one of my avid listeners. And we discussed the fact that, with this situation, All Elite Wrestling, the way they have been structured, for you diehard wrestling fans, they are a dream organization. They are looking to bring tradition back to wrestling, have incredible matches, and let people really, really go out there and show what they can do. Almost like an American version of New Japan. The issue is that unless you're one of the diehards like you and I are, you may not even know who most of their premium talents are. I'm not trying to be mean here. We all know Kenny Omega is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, bar none. But the mainstream Monday and Tuesday viewer for WWE programming, the highest percentage of them are not New Japan Pro Wrestling viewers. They're not Ring of Honor viewers. They're not even Impact Wrestling viewers or Lucha Underground viewers. You know how you know that? Because those shows draw 100,000 views. WWE this week had the second lowest Raw rating of the entire year, and it was still over 2 million people. So clearly the highest percentage of WWE viewers at home are not into all those other products. That being said, the All Elite Wrestling success may be predicated on a few marquee names making an appearance, and one of those could easily be CM Punk. Another one could be Brock Lesnar. There's a handful of others. People have been talking about maybe this is why Sasha Banks wants out of her contract. Maybe she wants to go there and have a more substantial run with a company that appreciates her. In an update to her situation, as of right now, it's been reported by Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer and several other sites that she kind of wants to sit out the rest of her WWE contract. Now, here's the issue with that. She's not injured. So she's choosing to sit out, kind of like Neville a couple years ago. When that happens, by contract and in the legal terms, WWE is within their rights to add time to her contract and force her to stay out even longer. She put up a tweet last night during WWE Monday Night Raw, something to the effect of she's not afraid of commitment. She doesn't want to waste her time. And it makes you feel like she feels like what she's doing in WWE right now is worthless. And I actually get it. I have been kind of against Sasha Banks up until this point. Not completely, but partially, because I don't feel like any wrestler should be able to hold a promotion for hostage for any purpose whatsoever. However, the young lady, clearly there was some promises made about them having a lengthy run with the championships. They even did the angle where Boss and Hug showed up at an NXT event. They were on SmackDown. They were on Raw. The only thing left would be for the two of them to show up at NXT UK. And it made it, they sent a message that was really wonderful, that these really were going to be tag team championships defended on all brands. And I love that idea. The issue is WWE for some reason believes that Bayley is a legitimate threat on SmackDown now for the women's championship, and that Sasha Banks can now again be built as a legitimate threat to the world championship on Raw. Now, I get it, and I actually agree with both of those decisions, but both of those decisions would have been able to happen over time, and you still would have been able to keep both of them happy by allowing them to have a lengthy run with the tag team championship. And I think that may be where WWE got ahead of themselves. Sometimes Vince overthinks these things and he rushes angles. Never more obvious than last night on Raw, when we're already going to get to see AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. That should have been booked for next year's WrestleMania's main event. We shouldn't be seeing that at Money in the Bank. That's nonsense. What a waste of one of the only true dream matches on the WWE roster right now. That's what we wanted to see. We want to see dream matches, mega matches, once in a lifetime opportunities. And instead, we're going to get to see it at Money in the Bank. And you know why? They're putting it on Money in the Bank because ticket sales they're at a crawl, a snail's pace. They're not moving. So if we give this incredible dream match, well, then everybody's going to run out and they're going to all buy tickets all of a sudden. But that has not been happening. WWE's box office return, the number of butts in seats, as JR used to say, is very much dwindling. They're masking off half an arena, putting up black screen and doing strong camera side shots only and stuff like that. And that's not healthy for business. Yes, they continue to make money because of their television deals, distribution, merchandising, all that. Their stock hit over $100 today. At one point it was $100.10, first time in company history. So yes, do they look on paper like they're doing well? Of course they do. But so did WCW back in the 90s and early 2000s. You know what the problem was? And I'll never forget, if you watch the the Monday Night Wars DVD, you would hear Triple H as Hunter saying, you know, what they were doing is they were winning the ratings war, but on the front lines in the house shows, they were packing house shows. So they were winning the battle in the trenches. And that's what WWE is no longer doing. They're not filling house shows anymore. And that's a problem because, yes, and again, speaking with Nate from Sellersville today, one of the points he brought up that's incredibly important is back then, people would tune in and do 100,000 pay-per-view buys at $50, $60, $70 a month, and that was a huge revenue stream for WWE. That's gone. Now it's all about the WWE network. Not that you can't still buy it through traditional pay-per-view channels, but who in their right mind does that anymore? Most people have the network because it's cheaper to get the network if you buy 2 pay-per-views a year. That's Mania and the Royal Rumble by itself pays for the membership, at least until they change the pricing, which has been rumored for a while. But the reality is that's what we need stability. And Sasha Banks and people like that, you can't afford to lose them to an AEW. All Elite Wrestling needs to really put forth their best foot forward to really become a force in the industry. So we're in like this crazy mode right now where people are trying different things. I can't even say that statement without referring back to last night, watching Bray Wyatt come out. He looks like a cross between like Blue's Clues and like Pee-wee's Playhouse and I don't know, Chucky or something. Ridiculous angle they're doing with him. I know somebody online said, I saw this on Facebook. He said, oh, well, do you forget that his father was IRS and that gimmick got over? I get it. IRS was able to be a stingy, people hate accountants to begin with kind of person. You know what I'm saying? They have a bad reputation no matter how many amazing people there are in this profession. And so that character worked for a reason. It appealed to the older audience. The kids probably didn't even understand it. This, I don't know what they're doing with this, but it looks atrocious. It makes WWE, it's almost like a throwback to the early 90s where we had cartoonish characters and things like that. We don't want that again. If we had a choice between going to that cartoonish era and the Attitude Era, I think almost universally people would take the Attitude Era. Unfortunately, we're looking at possibly going the more cartoonish way, at least with Bray Wyatt's character. Incredibly bad idea if you ask me. I'm just hoping that the superstar shakeup is over. We saw this week people who were paying attention to the internet, Andrade and Zelina Vega move back to SmackDown. Cesaro breaks up from the bar and gets moved to Raw. We saw all this shuffling of talent back and forth, even after they had been moved during the actual superstar shakeup. So hopefully that's over. It would really be nice if it was. Now, I understand some of that had to do with keeping the married couples or the dating couples together on whatever brands they're respectively wrestling on. Aleister Black and Zelina Vega are both on SmackDown. They're a married couple. Charlotte Flair and Andrade are on SmackDown. They're a dating couple. So I get some of it. Of course, you have Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch on Raw. They're dating. You've got Naomi moving to Raw to be with the Uso, her Jimmy Uso. So I get all that. But the way things have been bouncing around back and forth, and even a week after the shakeup, it kind of takes away from the specialness of that night. If I'm fine with Cesaro being on Raw, he needs a push. He's needed one for years. But this would have been the opportunity to move him at the actual shakeup and have him come out and do something of substance. Like, instead of worrying about Samoa Joe in the United States Championship, he could have dropped that last week on SmackDown. You could have had Cesaro take the Intercontinental Championship from Finn Balor before Balor went to SmackDown and just keep this United States Championship over on SmackDown. I don't know if maybe Fox wanted the Intercontinental title over there or what happened. I know Fox is being really pushy right now. They're pushing for a third hour on the SmackDown in this October when it moves to Fox. I think that's a big mistake. We've already had many discussions over the last couple of years about how 3 hours of Raw is too much. Now you're going to have 3 hours of Raw and 3 hours of SmackDown. Just think about that. So, by the way, before I forget, happy birthday goes out to John Cena. Turned 42 today. The guy's a year younger than me. Jerk. Makes me feel old. But put up pictures on Twitter today. Dude is jacked beyond jacked. He may be more jacked now than he was all the way back when he was in UPW, when he was this human cyborg character was all jacked up. He's bigger now, and he's older now. That's like unheard of, but more power to him. Especially, I don't know if anybody saw it, but there was actually a picture of Bray Wyatt taking a picture with a fan where he looked incredibly in shape. He looked buff, man. So hopefully he's going to be in a lot better shape. Maybe you do more in the ring. Want to get back to some other big news. The other big news today, The Undertaker and Kurt Angle officially have been pulled from StarCast 2. I have a huge problem with this. Because here's the deal. If you're a diehard Undertaker fan, you've already booked your tickets, your airfare from other countries, other sides of the world, coming in to see your favorite wrestler, The Undertaker, maybe coming in to see your favorite wrestler, Kurt Angle, and they're pulled because WWE doesn't like the fact that StarCast 2 is so closely aligned with All Elite Wrestling. They're different companies. More important than that, and this is the part that really bothers me. Conrad Thompson, the guy who organizes StarCast, made it clear in his conversation today that both The Undertaker and Kurt Angle, he had approached through their representation. That they were looking for outside bookings. He went through the proper channels. He did things the right way and got a contract with them to perform and appear. And for whatever reason, WWE steps in, strong arms people, and gets them to have to pull out of the event. Now, I understand that there's some negotiation about a replacement to try to make up for it. He actually stated that he wanted it to be Shawn Michaels and that they could do a piece where Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon talk about their WrestleMania 10 ladder match and all that. He hasn't heard back from WWE, and I don't see WWE allowing that. I think that would be insane on their part. And what are you going to do? Give him some retired person who's not on any roster? He asked for Stephanie or Triple H to be there. And of course, Vince put the kibosh on that. That's not happening. But it's almost ludicrous that WWE gets to hold the entire industry hostage while good, hardworking people, fans of the industry, fans of these wrestlers who are looking forward to seeing these guys get the rug pulled out from under them after they've made accommodations. Now, I know WWE is offering to reimburse Conrad Thompson for any expenses he's incurred, but what about the people who've taken off work, bought their tickets, bought their airfare, rented a hotel, got a rental car lined up? They're not doing anything for those people. Now, I know it says card subject to change. That's between the fans and StarCast, but let's be honest. StarCast did nothing wrong here. Nothing. WWE's the ones doing something wrong here. And I have a problem with WWE doing this. They are not the only show in town anymore. This is why, I get it, AEW is not going to be a threat to WWE anytime in the next millennia, but God, I wish they would be. Because somebody needs to knock WWE off their perch. Knock them off the throne. Bring them down a few pegs. And unfortunately, nobody has been able to do that. And WCW was the closest. And if it wasn't for Turner Broadcasting and AOL Time Warner not wanting to be a part of the wrestling industry, that may have actually happened. It's a shame that it crumbled in a lot of ways. I understand we've had a lot of incredible matches and memories that came up because WWE won the Monday Night Wars. But you know what? I really would have loved to have seen WWE not be the only big dog in town. And let's face it, that's what they are. All Elite Wrestling's not a big dog yet. We don't even know what their production's going to look like. Ring of Honor clearly isn't. New Japan clearly isn't. Lucha Underground isn't. Impact Wrestling fights for viewers because they're put on in a ridiculous hour of the day on a channel nobody cares to look at. So it's a shame. And you know who's hurt the most? The fans and the talents. That's who's hurt. Tony Khan's not going to be hurting whether this project works or fails. The fans will be upset if these incredible matches aren't appreciated in a way because they don't get the best TV deal, or they don't get the best distribution, or they can't attract new talent, or fans don't become involved or invested in the storylines. I hope they do, because I really hope that this takes off. Word coming out today is that Becky Lynch may be wrestling twice at Money in the Bank. Now, here's the thing. I get it. She's the Raw and the SmackDown Women's Champion. The word is, obviously, she's going to face Lacey Evans for the Raw Women's Championship. It sounds like she's going to be facing Charlotte Flair at the other end of the pay-per-view. She'll be pulling double duty that night, and I get it. That makes her look awesome. If she keeps both championships, would be a problem. She has to lose one, and here's why. If she doesn't lose one, you have no one on the roster who comes even close to being able to dethrone her. Charlotte is the most legitimate challenger for those championships. If you don't give the SmackDown Championship back to Charlotte, then Becky Lynch is unstoppable. There is nobody on the roster who could beat her. What are you going to do? Book her into a triple threat and have her get knocked out of the ring and somebody steal her championship? Kind of almost like the Iconics at WrestleMania with the women's tag team titles. That's a joke. It's been done to death. So at this juncture, I would have Lacey Evans face her for the Raw Women's Championship early in the show, and then not all that long after have Charlotte face her for SmackDown. She's already beat down. Charlotte takes the championship, and Becky doesn't look invincible, but she looks solid, and she's still the Raw Women's Champion, leading to hopefully that WrestleMania 36 match that they rumored last week between her and Ronda Rousey as a rematch. I would love to see that. Moving on, in the news this week, Daniel Bryan has been the topic of lots of conversation. He is injured, that we know, but is it a serious injury? They're treating it as though it may have been another concussion. That could be the nail in the coffin of his career. That is a concern. I hope not. I'm really praying not. He has been even better now than he ever was before in this incarnation of Daniel Bryan. I would love to see him back in the ring, but his safety is always going to be the paramount topic of discussion. He has to be safe. He has been more tested than any other talent in history because of his previous concussion issues. And now we're in a situation where if he had another one, this could be the end of it for Daniel Bryan. New Japan Pro Wrestling announced the Best of the Super Juniors participants for this year. The tournament is going to take place starting in May. It runs through June, but the list of participants is insane. Razuki Taguchi, Tiger Mask 4, Sho and Yo, Will Ospreay, Taiji Ishimori, El Desperado, Taka Michinoku, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Bushi, Flip Gordon, Titan, Marty Scurll, Dragon Lee, Robbie Eagles, Jonathan Gresham, Bandito, Shingo Takagi, and X. It's just a huge, huge talent pool. Those guys are going to do battle, the winner getting a shot at the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, and it has become must-see television. I love that Access TV has been pretty quick about putting New Japan's new shows on the network relatively quickly. We already got to see, if you guys tune in every week to their show, you got to see Jay White lose the IWGP Championship to Kazuchika Okada. This past weekend, you had the triple threat ladder match for the Ring of Honor World Championship from the G1 Supercard show. So they're good at doing that. Make sure you check out this tournament because it's going to be killer. They are incredible talents, best cruiserweights around the world, except for the few that are in WWE that you would probably put on the list. You couldn't ask for a better lineup. It's going to be very, very cool. So, some other side news for the week. Jazz, for those people who remember ECW and WWE days for Jazz, she was a women's wrestler, one of the divas, one of the ECW female talents, and she has always been one of those real pioneer women. She is a bruiser, much in the way that Chyna was in her era. And Jazz still actively competes, and for over 900 days has been the NWA Women's Champion. She won the championship back in 2016. And this weekend, she had some unforeseen health issues and whatnot, and she was forced to vacate the NWA Women's Championship. If this is some simple thing, I think the NWA dropped the ball here. If this is some simple injury or some short-term illness or something of that nature, I think they dropped the ball. The big deal was she wouldn't be able to perform at the Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Cup tournament coming up, and that they needed her to be at that show. I get it. But that's a match. You know what you do? You have a number one contenders match instead and have her defend the title later. You don't take the title off someone after over 900 days unless there's something serious. Now, if there's something serious, my heart's wishes and prayers go out to Jazz, and I wish her nothing but a speedy recovery if there's an injury or some kind of serious situation. If not, this was a gross misuse of taking the NWA championship away from somebody. The big news late this past week, Cody Rhodes' opponent announced for Double or Nothing. It's none other than Goldust. I think or I shouldn't say that. It's Dustin Rhodes. I think everybody felt that might be the way it was going, especially the way it was rumored last month that his contract was running out with WWE. Come to find out, he asked for his release, was granted his release. He'll face his brother. If you didn't see the T-shirt is killer. It's got a black and red half face painted Dustin Rhodes for one last ride. And I think it's awesome. And it's a match. Look, I saw people joking about it. They've seen this match before. They don't want to see it again. We did not get to see these two really put on the clinic that I think they could put on. WWE never gave them the time to really show us what they could do. And this might be that. This could give them that chance. I think after everything that Goldust has done for WWE, he deserved one real main event program. I didn't need him to win the World Championship, but I think he needed a main event program to show him the appreciation for everything he's contributed to this business. And he has contributed a lot and opened doors for many other people and broke the mold and shot through the glass ceiling when an androgynous, homophobic character was not popular in WWE's eyes back in the 90s. He broke through that comfort zone and brought a character to TV that was unique and interesting and inspiring for some people. And doing all that, I think, has given him what should have been a more of a main event push just once. Like I said, didn't need him to be world champion, but I need him to get one good solid push. The guy hasn't even had one of the secondary titles in the whole time since he's been back. So that's just a travesty if you ask me. But he'll be at Double or Nothing. He'll be taking on Cody Rhodes, and I hope those two put on a clinic. Speaking of talents and how things get booked and handled and whatnot, WWE put out an article last week, Triple H talking to the Sports Business Journal about how much WWE talents get paid. And he said that NXT talents get paid between $50,000 and $120,000 a year, with the average being somewhere in the $80,000 range. He also referenced that when they make it to the main roster, many of them can make seven figures. And I don't dispute that. I think that's awesome. Merchandising does that for you. What I find interesting is only when they started the WWE UK brand, I remember the talents getting offered like $35,000. And that's just nothing compared to what he was just talking about. Hopefully, when they re-upped all those UK talent contracts, they gave them a substantial pay raise up to these levels. And for anybody aspiring to get into WWE, that should be good news to you. $50,000 to $120,000 a year is incredible money for a young talent who's going into the Performance Center, learning the ropes, learning the business, doing all that stuff, and getting ready for the main roster. And then you'll be rewarded once you get there. So, got to keep your eye on some of the guys going to developmental. You got to wonder to yourself, is this a $50,000 guy? Is this an $80,000 guy? Or is this one of the big bucks? Is this a $120,000 a year kind of guy? Kind of interesting if you think about it. I'm sure, some of the people, Johnny Gargano and whatnot, probably make even more than that. But definitely an interesting article. You should check it out. Time Magazine last week, 100 most influential people, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson on the list. The guy has really skyrocketed in popularity. I'd love to see him run for president just because he'd be that kind of attitude that could do that. And though he would have no snowball's chance in heck of winning, it'd be fun just to watch him get out there and debate somebody, throw in some one-liners. Can you see he and Elizabeth Warren and Donald Trump standing on a stage together having a debate? And those two would be arguing politics, and he'd be like, "You don't know what your role," you know what I mean? Like, he'd be awesome in that funky debate scenario. I would love to see him do it. But Time Magazine, one of the top 100 most influential. What a great honor. Congrats to The Rock. Luke Harper requesting his release from WWE late last week. Not good. WWE has to deal with these people. Apparently, they're not letting him out of his contract. He wants to go. All the talents were saying goodbye to him on Twitter, and WWE said, yep, sorry, not happening. And I'm okay with that. As much as I just got done talking about the whole Sasha Banks issue and everything else, and WWE with the Undertaker and Kurt Angle and all those things I was just talking about, I'm tired of hearing talent say, I just want out of my deal. When I make a contract with somebody for anything, I don't care if it's fixing the toilet in my bathroom all the way through buying a car. When you make a contract, you stick to it. That's what you do. You stick to your contract. And if not, WWE should hold him to his contract, make him perform, and if he's not going to perform, extend it as long as they can. Not because I don't want to see him. I love Luke Harper's work. I think it would have been better for him to make the main event at WrestleMania a couple years ago against Bray Wyatt in that whole debacle with AJ Styles in the Battle Royal and all that nonsense. I think he's an incredible talent, but I'm tired of talents thinking they run the business. You made a deal. Live up to it. Now, at the same time, WWE, after that John Oliver piece, if they're going to make a deal with you, you better start taking care of your people. I'm just saying. This independent contractor stuff is nonsense. If you're in this day and age, if you're not going to let people work elsewhere when you're not using them. Let's face it. If I hire a carpenter and I give him a contract to do a job and I tell him, you know what, take the week off, he's entitled to go get another job for that week and make more money. It's not my fault, or it's not his fault that I let him have the week off. Why shouldn't he make more money? That's the way it works. So WWE, think about that. Because people like Luke Harper shouldn't be able to request their release, but they shouldn't even want their release. You should be taking care of your talent to a level that they don't want to leave. Just as a sidebar, I forgot to throw this in earlier. WWE, what they think about Sasha Banks currently, it sounds like WWE is under the impression she's still going to be back for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. I don't buy that, especially after today's tweet. I don't buy that, but that's the plan. I think if she looks at everything from all different angles, the purpose to breaking up the Boss and Hug connection was purely to get them both back over as singles performers. So isn't that supposed to be the number one goal of every wrestler, is to be the best? And Sasha Banks clearly is one of the best. She's an incredible worker, and she's very much over with the fans. So I think she needs to look at the reasoning behind these decisions and not just get the boo-boo face because they gave her something she doesn't want. You think Bray Wyatt really wants to be, the guy from Blue's Clues right now? Probably not. Maybe he does. I don't know. I don't know if Bobby Roode wants to be Robert Roode right now. That was the other change last night. Maybe he does. Maybe he hates it. I don't know. But at least they're doing it. I did like to see the fact that Bobby Roode picked up the win last night. I thought they were just going to bury him. But if they're going to reestablish him as a single star, thank goodness, because he had so much momentum coming to the main roster, and it just fizzled out. So that kind of sucked. The Miz being on Raw, people have been asking why that is. It's very simple. They need more lead-in time for the Miz and Maurice show. That's what they need. They need more time to advertise each episode. Raw gets higher viewership. You want to get more eyes on the opportunity for that prize and try to bring in more viewership. That's why. At the same time, he is an incredible talent who has not been appreciated much by WWE in their booking of him. And I hope maybe this move to Raw will give him some fresh life. Probably as a mid-card talent again, which I think is ridiculous. He deserves to be in a main event picture after everything he's done lately. But that unfortunately doesn't look like it's going to be in the cards. Adam Rose in the news. We got well wishes being sent out to him. He had a heart attack about a week ago, and he put it out there on Twitter to everybody. We already knew this was going to be his last year of competing. Now apparently he's going to have one last match, and that's going to be it, which is crazy so soon after a heart attack. But apparently he is done being an in-ring talent, wants to ride off into the sunset. Congratulations to him on his career, and we just wish that him well in all of his future endeavors. How's that for a WWE line? Impact Wrestling has now announced they have a partnership with Booker T's Reality of Wrestling, which I find strange considering Booker T's under contract with WWE as a announcer for all like their pay-per-views and whatnot. But let's face it, it's his own company. He does with it what he pleases. He's going to partner with Impact Wrestling. They're going to have a show that's going to have the talents of Impact versus the talents of Reality Wrestling. If you're not familiar with their people, check them out. They have a weekly show. You can get it on their website. You can get it on YouTube. There's also, if you're in the Dallas, Texas area, you can get it on television. Check that out. But that should be a cool show. Some unique pairings, new wrestlers, getting to work with new people, and I love that. I love that Impact is partnering with so many small corporations to try to bring new experiences to the fans. That's what every promotion should be looking to do in this day and age. Thankfully, Impact is.
WWE is hopeful Beth Phoenix is not done. She looked great in the ring, no ring rust, and they're hoping that she has more matches in her. She has not committed to anything, but Natalya is very much in favor of it. And I think, in all honesty, if she does come back again, they should win those tag team championships. I think it would be very fitting that she and Natalya win the tag titles, with the Hart Foundation originally winning the tag titles. I think it would be a nice poetic story and a nice, just a little asterisk next to the history of professional wrestling. And what else are you going to do with her? Are you going to put her in a main event storyline with Becky? I mean, that's possible if you get her to commit to enough appearances, but I can't see her being a full-time talent at this point. She's not going to want to come back full-time. She and Edge are very happy, husband and wife, parents. You know, they got beautiful children, so I can't imagine she wants to come back full-time. But it's cool to see her in the ring, and I hope they do get a few more matches out of her. And the last thing for this episode, Shinsuke Nakamura officially re-signing with WWE. People were speculating about it for forever. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Does he really want to be in the United States the way everybody's been claiming? Well, apparently he does. And apparently he has re-signed with the company. And that's a beautiful thing for the foreseeable future. He loves being in the United States. He likes the exposure. He likes the less physical style, which is good for him. That's going to prolong his career. For you Shinsuke fans, I would love for them to do better with him, but they haven't. At the end of the day, at least you're getting to see him, and now it looks like you're going to be able to see him for the foreseeable future. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us in the next episode. We'll run down all the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks, as always, goes out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com. They produce all the music or sound effects we use in our shows. Today's podcast sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this game from Beazle Games by going to frowrestling.com and clicking the icon in the middle of the screen to pick up your copy today. And to Alley Repair. Contact Alley Repair today for servicing of all your classic skee-ball, pinball, and arcade game needs. Are you sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 for the latest and greatest wrestling video game? Stop immediately and go to Wrestler Unstoppable, available exclusively through Facebook. Create your wrestler, sign contracts, get involved in storylines, headline pay-per-views, even build your own corporation, all included in Wrestler Unstoppable, available now to all Facebook users totally free. If you're looking for your next career move, you're considering college, university life, or you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to our sister website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs. As Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us this evening. If you want to check out more wrestling news and rumors, go to www.tsj101sports.com for their latest articles on the world of professional wrestling. If you want to support independent wrestling, go to frowrestling.com, click the Indie Events tab at the top of the page, and support independent wrestling shows near you. There's a ton of them there. Click on them. They'll take you right to their websites. Contact them for ticket information. Until next time, take care, everybody. Have a great night. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe and enable notifications. Have a great night.